Hello everyone, this is the Pocket Programmer back with you. This is part 2 of Pocket Basics, or Pocket Beginners. So in our first lesson, we just did this very simple program that you still see here. And the first thing I want to do is illustrate a point simply by running the program again. So we did type a number, and we got our number typed out. Now I'm going to do something that's not a number. I'm going to type the letter F. And you'll notice that the program actually puts out the letter F. Now, you'll know that F is not actually a number unless you're talking about hexadecimal. So why does this actually work? And it has to do with variable types. So variable types in programming tell the computer what types of information is being stored in each one of these variables. And in Python programming, you don't have to state what the variable type is before declaring the variable, which is nice when you're just programming along, but can get you into trouble if you try and do something like what I want to show you now. I'd like to think that we all know how math works. And let's say I want to, instead of just print A, I wanted to do 2 times A. So I'm going to say B is equal to 2 times A, and we use the asterisk as times. And instead of printing A, I want to print B. So when I run this program, it's saying, okay, type a number, and I'm going to type the number 5. And 5 times 2 is 10, so it should give me 10, and yet it tells me 55, or 55. 2 times 5 is not 55. You probably don't need me to tell you that. Well, what is it doing? It's treating 5 as the character 5. When I do 2 times 5, it's saying, do the character 5 twice. This is a form of concatenation, something we'll talk about in a future lesson. But that doesn't really help us right now. What we want to know is, well, what if I really wanted a program that asks a user to type in a number, the program doubles it, and then prints out whatever that doubled value is? What I need to do is I need to change the variable type. So what I'm going to do is where it says A equals input, I'm going to insert one other little thing called int. int, open my parentheses. I have to delete that duplicate. And then I'm going to close my parentheses over here. int is now saying take whatever the user types in, make it be an integer. So if I'm going to delete the output, and if I run this program again, type a number, I'm going to type 5 again, and this time I get the expected result of 10. If I try to do what I did when I was messing with it, and I type F, I get an error, because it's looking for an integer and the user gave it something that was not an integer. So this program now is probably more along the lines of what we would have expected. So what other types of variables are there? Well, let's look at a few of the most common ones. So we just saw integer. I won't do that again. So now I'm going to make C is equal to, and I'm just going to give it a value, 1.87. That's not an integer. This is what's known as a float. If it's a decimal value, it's called the float. Some types of programming also has doubles. I'm sure there are others as well, but float is the most common. So anytime you have fractional parts, you're going to be dealing with a float. A string, we saw it as one letter. We even saw it as one number, but it was the character of the number. But let's say I want it to be a full-on string. You can do a string in quotes, basically anything you want. There are exceptions. We'll talk about those in the future, but I can just say, hi. That is now a string. It's 2 characters instead of just 1. And then the last one I want to talk about, something we won't deal with too much right now, but it's called a Boolean. And Boolean can be like this. T is equal to true. And make sure that's a capital T in true. I get myself into a lot of trouble when I'm troubleshooting programs, and I'm like, what is going on here? Oh, I made false with a lowercase f. That's fine for the variable name, but the actual value has to be capital false. So there's just a couple other variable types. These are the things that we'll be using in future lessons and frankly throughout all of your programming from here on out. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.